Hello, fellow weirdos. I'm Andy Negative, and today we're looking at 7 books every musician needs to read. All right, weirdos, before we jump in, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and then just obliterate that like button for the YouTube algorithm. In this video, we will be going over my 7 top picks for books that every musician really needs to read. But before we do that, I would like to take 1 second to say thank you to this video's sponsor. It's my wonderful community over on Patreon, the Weirdo Cult. They're just the most fantastic people ever, and they've been helping me make my way through this crazy content creator lifestyle. And if you want to help support me in my creative endeavors further, you can join my community over on Patreon. I'll tell you about it all at the end of the video. Just know that it's a thing that you can do if you wanna. All right, with that out of the way, we're gonna look at these books. Now, be aware that I have read every single one of these books. I have either owned them in physical copy or I've downloaded them as ebooks and read them. They are all just fantastic books that I would highly suggest. There will be affiliate links down below that you can go use to purchase the books if you want to. I do suggest that you go pick them up and give them all a read, because it should make your life just a lot better as a musician. All right, so let's just dive into this list and let's go over these wonderful books. And stick around till number 7, because the last one is you're really gonna want to. Yeah, the last one's kind of a big one. You're gonna want to know about it. That's for sure. Number 1, how to make it in the new music business. Ari Herstand. Ari is a musician from California who has spent his career building himself up as kind of a DIY legend. His book outlines the work that will be necessary to build yourself up as a self-sustaining DIY musician. I don't 100% agree with everything that Ari says in this book, specifically his stuff about sound checks. I feel like you can punk rock a lot of sound checks when you're a smaller DIY artist, but the rest of the book, it's all very fantastic, and the dude raises some really fantastic points. And his success speaks for itself. This book will cover important topics like how to build a grassroots fan base, how to book shows, tours, and the proper etiquette to use when contacting booking agents, how to grow your fan base online, how to get songs into movies and television, the kind of royalties that you can make and where to get them, and a whole bunch more. This book is kind of just an overview of what it is to try to be a DIY artist in today's music industry. This is a fantastic book for anybody starting out. For those of you who, like me, have been at this for years, this book is a fantastic review and a great way to go over some of the stuff that you probably already know, but it's always good to bone up on every so often. Also, maybe there'll be a few things in here that you didn't know about that could be helpful. The book has some wonderful anecdotes about Ari's experiences as an artist and the places he's lived in the world, and is written in a very conversational tone that makes it really easy to get through in a few days. It's written by a musician for musicians, so there's no legalese or complicated terminology that's hard to understand. This is a great book that I think everybody needs to read, like, immediately. Number 2, Steal Like an Artist, Austin Kleon. Austin is an artist and author from New York who focuses on maintaining creativity in today's very hectic technological world. This book outlines 10 things he wished that he had been told when he was starting out as an artist. While this book is written by a digital artist, I think that the information inside can easily be extrapolated to apply to any musician and anybody in any creative field, really. The main point of this book is that nothing is really original, no thought is original, no piece of art that you're gonna make up is original. So embrace influence and collect ideas from as many sources as you possibly can. If you steal from one artist, it's plagiarism. If you steal from hundreds of artists, you end up creating your own unique voice. This book is fantastic for giving you a different point of view on how to expand your creative process so that you can become a better artist long term. This book is great. Austin puts a bunch of his art in this book, and he's got a really interesting and creative artistic style, and I absolutely adore it. Number 3, Processing Creativity by Jesse Cannon. Jesse is a record producer from New York who has worked with many artists, including The Misfits, Dillinger Escape Plan, NoFX, Senses Fail, and just a ton of others. You should see this guy's accolades. It's very impressive. It's a little daunting, actually. This book covers his approach to the creative process of making an album, starting from the initial idea, the little light bulb moment at the beginning, to walking out of the studios, masters in hand, ready to promote your album. This book covers things like researching your creative ideas, working through mental breakdowns, creating compelling, unique music, dealing with collaborative problems between different band members, and how to give helpful and constructive criticism. This is easily one of the best books that I've ever read about the creative process. Jesse's approach to maintaining a consistent and targeted vibe when creating an album really gave me a whole different mindset when approaching the creation of my own music. I was super glad to read this, and I've suggested it to pretty much every single musician that I know who is a songwriter. This is a fantastic book, and Jesse really knocked it out of the park with this one. Number 4, Recording Unhinged, Sylvia Massey. Sylvia is a record producer from California who has worked with the likes of Tool, System of a Down, Johnny Cash, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So, you know, just a couple small artists. This book is a deep dive into getting creative with the recording process and trying to find ways to make unique sounds and recordings that will stand out amidst the noise of everybody putting out their music nowadays. This book covers things like how to unlearn safe recording and put the pedal to the metal in terms of unique sounds. Explores techniques that fall outside of the norm of safe recording, has stories from many influential musicians like Hans Zimmer, Jack Joseph Puig, and Bob Clearmountain, just to name a few of them. This book is chock full of tips, recipes, photos, advice, diagrams, exercises, and just the craziest illustrations you've seen in a book about recording music. This book is basically recording insanity, and reading it has pushed me to really try new and creative things when recording my own music. There's one specific story in this book about throwing an amp off of a cliff that is really bound to spark anybody's imagination, and this is I think you really need to read it. Number 5, Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary is an entrepreneur from Belarus/New York who is known as kind of a business guru. This book is all about growing your brand on social media and standing out in the hyper loud and hyper competitive world of the online that we live in today. While not a music industry book, this book will be a great guideline for any musician who is trying to learn to grow their brand online. This book includes things like planning a social media campaign, developing content, how to effectively connect with and grow your audience, and how to convert traffic and get sales results. This book is fantastic at instilling how to approach social media. While some of the specific tactics are a little outdated due to the ever-changing monster that is the internet and social media, the core principles of this book hold very firm today. If you plan on growing your music business, and surprise, if you're an artist, it's a business, you are a small business, this book is great at teaching you the basics of doing your own marketing, which you're gonna have to learn how to do, so. Number 6, The Heroin Diaries, Nikki Sixx. Nikki is a rock musician from California that is most known for being the bass player in Motley Crue. This book is a no punches pulled look at a year in the life of Nikki Sixx playing in Motley Crue when they were reaching the height of their fame. With such an air of mystique surrounding the partying and drug-induced lifestyle of rock and roll and the music industry, this book is a true insight into the crushing reality behind drug addiction and the lifestyle of being a successful touring musician. At points, this book is almost unreadable and yet impossible to put down. Following Nikki's descent into drug decay and eventual recovery will give you a point of view on the party lifestyle that every musician sorely needs, and you won't have to destroy yourself in the process of doing so. I see this as required reading for every musician because we all need to see what it can be like and how we need to avoid getting sucked into the non-stop party lifestyle of rock and roll or whatever when you get involved in the music industry, because it can be dangerous and it can suck you in and it can totally ruin you, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody. This book is a true cautionary tale about the music industry and the pitfalls of getting involved. And number 7, Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Dave is a financial counselor from Tennessee, and after going completely broke as a real estate investor, Dave managed to turn his life around, pull himself out of debt, and now helps people learn how to fix their financial woes so that they can live happy and successful, debt-free lives. The fact is, many musicians live in debt, and especially in this hyper-competitive, advertising-swarmed world where you were constantly pushed to need the newest and the best and another guitar amp and another guitar and new equipment and another new program. It's so easy, and I've seen it time and time again, musicians just falling into debt by buying too much gear or spending all their money on tour or spending all their money at the bar. Fact is, it is impossible to be successful in any field if your money is already accounted for before you've even gotten it. This book covers things like how to make a budget, assessing your debt profile, living within your means, and how to get yourself out of debt so that you can become truly wealthy. The most important thing that any person can do for themselves, whether they're a musician or anybody else, is get themselves out of debt. Otherwise, you can never truly make a living or be financially free as a musician or really as any sort of creator out there. This book lays out the very simple steps that you can take to obliterate your debt. All you have to do is put in the hard work, and it's going to be hard work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and pretend like it's not hard work, but if you pull up your bootstraps or whatever, pull your belt up, and get down to it, you can crush your debt so that you can be debt-free and then move on to becoming a successful musician and human being. This book should be the first step that you take if you're in debt in your musical journey, because if you have debt, you cannot be successful. I've said it a bunch of times and it bears repeating over and over and over again. You cannot be successful if you have debt. Get rid of your debt and then start worrying about how you're going to launch your music career, because once you're debt-free, baby, it's all gravy after that. It's all gravy. And that is it for my list. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books or which one you are definitely going to go read immediately. And I think you should go read all of them. Go check out the links down below and go pick up any of these books and just start reading them right away. If you found this video insightful, informative, or even a bit entertaining, please obliterate that like button for the YouTube algorithm and just subscribe to the channel so that I can know that you want to see more of stuff like this, because this is what we do here at the Andy Negative channel. As I said at the beginning of the video, I would like to take a minute to say thank you to the sponsor, my wonderful community over on Patreon, the Weirdo Cult. They are just the most lovely people who've been helping to support me through this crazy, crazy internet world that we're now living in, and they help to keep me drinking the unnecessary amounts of coffee that I need in order to do the YouTube thing at the pace that I do it. Do it. They are just wonderful people, and I love them. God, I love them so much. If you would like to help support me in my creative endeavors further, please consider joining the Weirdo Cult over on Patreon. My community gets early access to my content, exclusive music that you cannot get anywhere else, and they have their names included at the end of all my videos, which you'll see immediately following this. I'm Andy Negative, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye!